Hello and welcome. My name is Chris Gibbons. I'm the director for the Healthcare Administration program here at Mercy College, and welcome to the program. You're obviously working through that new student checklist because the very first item on the checklist was this welcome video. What I like to do in the welcome video is really talk about the onboarding process as you get ready to start the program in the next few weeks. I know that when we start something new, whether it's a new job or a new educational endeavor, there can be a little nervousness, some apprehension, maybe even a little anxiety about starting something new. So hopefully by the end of this welcome video, you're going to feel fully confident, comfortable about starting the program. Now, I like to divide this into a couple different areas as we talk about the onboarding process. And the first area I like to talk about are the frequently asked questions students have when they start the program. And those are usually divided into two different areas. So let me tackle the first one, and that's technical requirements. Do I need any special laptop or graphics card, etc., to start the program? The answer is no. If you have a basic laptop, usually one that's about 5 years of age or newer, you're going to be perfectly fine for the program. Entry level laptop, perfectly fine. You don't need to go out and buy cutting edge MacBook Pro or anything fancy like that. A general laptop will get you through the program absolutely just fine. Now, I did mention about 5 years of age or newer. Why did I say that? Well, if you have a little bit of an older laptop, maybe a little bit older than 5 years, maybe it's approaching 7 years, maybe it's getting a little bit more difficult to load and it's starting to act a little weird, that may be time to consider buying a new laptop. What can happen to a student is something called a catastrophic hard drive failure. The hard drive simply seizes and quits to work. Happens every semester, usually to one student, and it's almost always exclusively with a older laptop that just finally gives up. Imagine you're working through the semester and your laptop dies. All of your work may be still on that laptop, and it can be a very, very stressful situation for students as maybe they've lost all of the work that's contained on the laptop. You can do some things to that laptop that's very, very expensive to extract that data called drive forensics. Pretty cost prohibitive for most folks. So in most cases, the data is gone. So what you want to do is look at your laptop, or maybe you're using a desktop, and is it new, newer, 5 years or less, and is it working just fine? If it's working just fine, then you're good to go. If it's starting to load a little weird or glitches or crashes every now and then, you may want to consider getting a new laptop or even a desktop. Again, just to reduce the stress or the possibility of a technical issue happening throughout the program. Now let's talk a little bit about some peripherals required for the program. Now most laptops today, at least for the past almost 9 or 10 years, have had an incorporated webcam and a microphone. So you will be from time to time, not for every class, but for some classes, you'll be making presentations, kind of like what I'm doing here, and you'll be talking to a camera about a given topic or presentation that you'll be doing. So you'll need a webcam. Again, you'll probably have that covered because it will already be incorporated into your laptop. Along with that is a microphone. Now, you obviously have a microphone incorporated into the laptop if you've got the camera. What we have found is that the microphone in most laptops is so-so, not so good. So we do recommend for students to try it, check it out first. If the sound is good, then you're okay. I have noticed personally with most Macs, the sound is really good. Other varieties of laptops, not so good. So you may want to consider buying something like this, a little microphone, or even a stick mic like this when the time comes. You don't need to do it now, but when you do have one of those presentations coming in one of your classes, you probably want to get a separate microphone. What this does is it takes the microphone away from the laptop and some of the noises incorporated, the fans and whatnot, and brings it a little bit closer to the source, your mouth. So consider that. You're looking at maybe $15. If you're spending more than 20, you're probably going overkill. You don't necessarily need to spend that much money for a microphone. All right, so you've got that basic laptop, nice and serviceable, one that's working really good for you, has a good camera and a microphone at some point. When you do have your first presentation coming up in one of your classes, you may want to look at getting a mic. The one thing that I have not mentioned is, can I do things on a mobile device? Can I use my phone? Can I use my iPad, my tablet? The answer is sometimes. You can access a lot of materials through a mobile device when you are taking your classes, but there's nothing that will replace a laptop right now. So you definitely have to have the laptop. Do not try to do your courses on a mobile device. We notice, and there's usually some issues associated with that. So you definitely can do some things, but not everything. So your main way of going to school in this digital environment will be through the laptop. So again, try not to rely completely on mobile to get through the program. You will have a very, very difficult, if not impossible, time in getting through your coursework. Okay, so there is that. Let's talk a little bit about those are the hardware areas, as far as we need laptops and peripherals. Let's talk a little bit about software. Is there any kind of special software that you need to buy? In general, no. Now, you will have written assignments. Obviously, you're going back to school. You're going to have some written assignments. You might be doing some presentations. And with that, our home application, if you will, is Microsoft. So your instructors, they have access to Microsoft Office. That is kind of the de facto presentation and application tool here at the college. What that means for those of you that may have a Mac, the Pages environment which is the analogy to Word, is something that we cannot in general access. So if you turn in an assignment, it must be in the Microsoft Office Word format. Now, if you're a Pages person, you probably know how to save it into a Word format, and it's perfectly fine. But just remember, your instructor may not be able to read it if you submit into Pages. So you have to into the Pages format. It must be submitted into Word. So I would say, approximately 95% of our students have Microsoft Office. It makes their life just work a lot easier. So many of you probably already have that incorporated into your laptop, the Microsoft Office environment. What specific Office applications will you need? Well, Word is the big one. Microsoft Office Word, your assignments, your written assignments, many of them will be have to be in that Word format. The other one is PowerPoint. You may be doing a presentation and maybe you're working with somebody else as a team project and you need to be on the same page as far as what you're doing. And Microsoft PowerPoint is how we do that. So we do recommend PowerPoint. Also, you from time to time you may need Excel. Not a lot, but you may need Excel, which is the spreadsheet application for Microsoft Office. Now, if you don't already have Microsoft Office, what should you do? Should you go run out to buy it? Well, a couple of things I want you to think about before you buy it. Be a savvy shopper because there are some ways that you can get a fantastic discount on that. One of them is going through Microsoft directly and look for the student discount. There is a wonderful discount on Office 365 University Edition, is what they call it. You need to have a .edu email, which you all will have by the time that you go through the onboarding process here. A .edu email means you're from an educational institution, and you can get a phenomenal deal on it. I think it runs about $64, and that will cover you for 4 years, and you get everything. You actually get a multiple hundreds of dollars discount through that. So it's something to consider if you want to go that route. Now, I know that sometimes $64, $65, that can be expensive. There are other ways to do this for free. There are a lot of clones, if you will, or surrogates for Microsoft Office. Google has one. Google Docs has a great one, works just fantastic. There are some other free ones out there as well. So do your own research. You just have to remember to make sure that when you are saving your documents, that you do save them in the format to which your instructor can read them. That's the key point, okay? All right, so take a look at that. So really, as far as software goes, you probably have it covered. You are okay with that. Again, if you need Microsoft Office, you can either go out and buy it at some point. My recommendation is through the discount, or you use one of the free clones of Office, whether it's there's so many of them out there, but the um, Open Office is one that a lot of students do. Open Office is a little bit more uh, not as user friendly, but it's pretty functional as far as that goes. And then Google Docs, super easy to use for a lot of folks. And even Word has a free one out there that's web based. A little bit more difficult to work with because it is web based, but again, be a savvy shopper and you can find something out there for either minimal cost or no cost that will get you through the program. Now, as far as going to and attending school through the digital environment, the LMS or learning management system that we have is completely web-based and it works with just about every browser out there. Most of us are using Chrome, but it also, it will work with the other browsers as well. That will not be an issue. So you'll be fine with that. And again, since it's browser-based, there's no cost involved with accessing that or any special software needs. Now, there is something that you need to highly consider. It's sort of a blend between both hardware and software, and that's backing up your work. Now, I start off with the catastrophic hard drive failure and having your laptop completely melt down on you during a semester, which again happens to a student just about every semester. Uh, if you have good backup discipline, uh, the occurrence of that is not as devastating. It's actually pretty minimal, other than the expense involved about getting a new laptop or whatnot. The data is you're perfectly fine with your data. So there's a few ways that I recommend that you think about backup. The first one is having a backup source physical within your own home, and a lot of students use these little flash drives. Now, these are great because they're pretty cheap nowadays, and you can fit everything you probably ever want in your educational career on one of these. Now, the downside of a flash drive for backup, those are the pluses. They're cheap, plentiful, and very have a lot of space on there. The downside is you got to remember to do it. You got to remember to back them up on here, and that's probably the hard part is to remembering to do that in a frequent pattern. The other thing is they're very small and they're very easy to lose. Trust me, I've lost a few of these in my lifetime, and that can be stressful too, knowing that you've lost something with perhaps some lot of data on there that you need at some point. So, but it is an economical way to do that. Another way to do it, and my one that I highly recommend, is something called offsite or cloud backup. You probably heard a lot about that over the past few years, and maybe you already have a cloud backup system. Great, then you're ahead of the game. One of the ones that I use is incorporated automatically within the Microsoft Office environment, and that's called OneDrive. So basically, it's a virtual drive that I can keep all of my work on. If my laptop were to spontaneously combust, all of my work is saved to the cloud, and I can go on any device, including mobile, and pull up that work. No problems at all. That's very, very nice. There are some other backup cloud services. I use actually two. And the other one that I use is called Carbonite. And that does an automatic save like every 15 seconds of everything on my laptop, whether it's in the virtual drive, the OneDrive, or whether it's physically on my desktop. It saves everything about every 15 seconds. Now it's a little bit more money for that, but I know I've got double coverage should something happen. One of the occurrences that happens, about once a year to a student is not necessarily a catastrophic hard drive failure, that's more frequent, but a laptop being stolen. So that again is very, very stressful, incredibly stressful. Having that information stored up to the cloud or a complete image of your hard drive saved in something like Carbonite or some other backup service, knowing that, yes, I've lost my laptop. Yes, it was encrypted. They're not going to get anything, but all of my data is in the cloud. I can get a new laptop and I'm good to go. So again, I highly recommend an offsite backup. It can even be something where we had a student where there was a flooding situation from a pipe that burst within their home, and their office where they did their work flooded right on the laptop, fried it. So you can even have something within the home that would cause a damage to the laptop. Again, having that cloud backup will add an extra layer of security for you. So please think about that. That'll make that a lot, make some of the stress-free, a very stressful situation, I guess, less stressful, knowing that you have that important term paper or that important project has been saved up to the cloud. All right, so that covers some of the hardware and software and even the backup requirements or suggestions that I have for the program. Let's take a look at the new student checklist, and I want to highlight those items as you get ready to onboard the program. So let's move my picture off to the side here. And obviously, you've gone through step one. And the checklist, the way it's designed is that you're really going to go through it sequentially and just check off little boxes as you go. The next thing that you'll need to do is if you haven't done it already, and many of you already have as you have worked with your admissions officer, but if you haven't done it already, you're going to establish your Empower Me account. We just say Empower for short. That's really your course registration system. That's where you're going to register for your courses. And that's also where you'll see your final grades and your transcripts. So it's an important system to make sure that you have logged on capabilities for. You don't use it a lot, but when you do use it, you really do need it. So make sure that you have established your Empower Me account. The next thing that you'll do is make sure that you've established your college email, that you've gone through the steps and closed in the packet, and you've established your email account. And send me a test email just to make sure it's working. And then we'll bounce an email back and forth to make sure you're all good with that. Email will be one of the key ways that the college will communicate with you, both the college-wide communication and the communication with your instructors. So that's a real important one to have. Then you'll be all set. You're going to have your Empower account all ready to go, and you'll be ready to register for your fall courses. So look at your plan of study. All of you have been given, or most of you have been given, 2 plans of study. Unless you've told us otherwise, you've been given 2 plans of study, both a full and part-time plan. Take a look at the plans, see which one is most comfortable for you, and register for those courses. My general recommendation for most students is to start part-time. Get your feet acclimated, get your feet wet, get acclimated to the program, get back in the swing of things. Then if you want to speed up, you can. But trust me, I think you're going to feel plenty busy just going part-time, especially if you do have a pretty heavy work commitment and you have a family commitment as well. Most of our students go part-time. Now, some are able to go full-time and they're able to do all those things and keep everything in balance. Don't know how they do it. Maybe they only sleep a few hours a week. Totally up to them. But again, if you're kind of wondering which way should I go, I usually lean towards starting off with a part-time plan. Of course, many of you probably have had some communication with your academic advisor, and we'll talk about that in just a few moments. But you can always contact your academic advisor if you kind of have some questions about that. But there's just my recommendation is start part-time and then get acclimated. And then if you want to ramp up, we can do that for you. All right, so you've registered for your fall courses, you've picked your plan of study, and you're ready to go. The next thing that you'll want to do is complete Canvas orientation. Now, Canvas is your digital campus. That's the name of the learning management system that we use here at Mercy College. There are about 3 major learning management systems used for all over the country, for all major colleges and universities. We use Canvas and really like it. We think you'll like it too. Students have overwhelmingly positive feedback on our LMS, on our learning management system. But that's that web-based digital campus that I was referring to earlier. You want to make sure that you are comfortable with that Canvas environment, understand how it works, kind of where you're going to need to click, how do you do an assignment, how do you do this discussion, and the Canvas orientation will show you all about that. So you're going to feel fully comfortable with your digital campus before the first day of class. We don't want you worrying about the technology on the first day. We just want you to worry about the learning. So you're going to go through Canvas orientation. Canvas orientation probably takes maybe a couple of hours to do as you go through those pages. Most students break it up over a couple of days, but if you want, you can do it in one setting and just kind of go right through it. If you ever want to go back and do a refresher, you can always go back to this link at any time. Maybe you saw something on quizzes and you want to go, oh, I want to go back and refresh my mind, on quizzes. You can do that. So it's all right there for you. So you're going to complete your Canvas orientation. After that, you are going to order your textbooks. And there's a process, there's a packet that we have for you that outlines how to do that. Now, I do get a question about, do I need to order textbooks from the college bookstore? No, you don't need to order textbooks from the college bookstore. Some students who get financial aid receive vouchers that they can use towards those textbooks, but they have to be purchased through the bookstore. Let's say you're not one of those students. You can buy them from any source you like. Totally up to you. I will say in general, what I've noticed is that other entities like Amazon or half.com have cheaper prices. So you are totally free to look at that. I just say buyer beware. Make sure that if you are using another bookseller, that you're using a reputable bookseller. Do not use eBay. My recommendation is do not use eBay. A student tries this every semester. Oh, I got such a great deal. They never get the book in time. The book comes 4 weeks later, course is halfway done. They didn't get the book in time. So make sure you are using reputable textbook sellers when purchasing your books. Now, some books may be available in electronic editions. We do not require you to buy an electronic edition. That's totally up to you if you wish. 98% of students use the old-fashioned paper edition. And we always, when we do have a textbook required, it will be available in paper. It may or may not be available in electronic edition. So totally up to you. If you see an electronic edition, you want to go that route, totally up to you. We do not require it. We stick to the old paper method right now, the traditional textbooks for all of our classes. So there's that on textbooks. Oh, lastly, absolutely make sure you have the right edition. How do you do that? Well, you'll look up your textbook at the college bookstore. Copy and paste the information. You'll know the exact edition, the exact ISBN number, which is like a serial number for a textbook, and then you can plug that into Amazon and find the exact edition that you need. Where you can have a problem is if you go, oh yeah, I need this particular textbook, and you go to Amazon and you buy the 5th edition, but yet the class is running on the 6th edition. Big problem because the textbook could be completely reordered. There could be new chapters in there that aren't included. It can be a complete nightmare. And the older edition, quite frankly, could be completely worthless for you in progressing through that course. So don't try to save, even though you might, wow, boy, that book was only $5 versus 50. That's why, unfortunately, the new editions, and we always progress forward to those new editions on the textbooks in most cases. So just be very careful that you're matching the edition required for the course to the edition that you're purchasing at a reputable bookseller. Otherwise, you'll be pretty much going out and buying that textbook anyway for the correct edition. All right, so that's textbooks. Do make sure you have your textbook by the first day of class. Our courses go very, very quick, and every day counts. So, waiting a week or two into the course is already done about a quarter by the second week. So you want to make sure you have those textbooks on the first day of the class that the class starts. Next thing I recommend is financial aid or tuition reimbursement. Now, you may have already contacted financial aid. Great, you can check that box off, but if you haven't, definitely do that now. Also, for those of you that may be lucky enough to work for an employer that offers financial aid, make sure you check with your employer, your HR department on what financial aid or what kind of tuition reimbursement options are available to you. Many employers still have tuition reimbursement. It's part of your compensation. They may not make a big deal of it, but do check. You may have $5, $10, $20,000 of tuition reimbursement that's applicable to you. You just need to do whatever paperwork they require for you to do. One of the things they may want to make sure that the degree that you're getting matches what the employer needs. That's why they're willing to pay for it. I have never heard of a student getting denied who works in healthcare, getting denied a healthcare administration degree because the employers see the value in that. So, fill out that paperwork if it's available to you. There might be a little bit of a process involved. Every employer is a little bit different, but almost all employers have a process, and you got to make sure you follow that process. Cross those T's and dot those I's so you can get that tuition reimbursement. Next thing you want to look at is scheduling your academic advising appointment. I referred to your academic advisor a few steps ago. Your advisor is Mary, so you'll want to make sure, if you haven't done so already, to schedule that appointment with her. There's instructions on how to do that. That's a good way for you to talk about your plans of study. You may have a lot of questions, you may have none, but even you establishing that relationship with Mary is important, because she's going to be a really critical part of your success team as you go through to that finish line and get your diploma. Really, your success team is made up of a couple of folks. One, myself, the director of the program, and the other one is your academic advisor. And quite frankly, most people say Mary is more important than me, so I'm okay with that. But both of us are there for you to get you across that finish line and to get you to that diploma at the end of the race. So schedule your academic advising appointment with her, and she'll have times available all over. Something convenient for you. Maybe it's after work, before work, during lunch. And again, plan about 10 to 30 minutes for that advising appointment. Next thing you want to do is then go do your college and program orientation. Now, if you remember, a few steps ago, we had the Canvas orientation that got you familiar with the basics of your digital campus. Now I need you to do the orientation for the college. Become familiar with college services, support systems that we have here for you. And then the other orientation will be specific to your program, the healthcare administration program. You'll learn some more details about the program there. Both of those should take only about 4 hours to complete. Again, most students can do it in one setting, but usually they break it up into a couple so it's not overload, and they kind of grind that out over a week or so. Again, kind of self-paced. What we ask is that you have it completed before the start of the semester. And then lastly on here is I want you to log on to your digital campus, Canvas. Make sure you've logged on. You know how to log on because you did your Canvas orientation. You know how it looks. Make sure that your logon credentials are all set. You're able to open the environment. You may not see the courses that you've registered for yet. That's okay. They will show up on the first day of class. They magically appear around midnight, poof, early in the morning before you even wake up for most people. They'll show up in your Canvas environment and be all set for you. So when you log on your laptop at 5 a.m. in the morning or whenever you log on in the first day of class, they're there for you. But what I want to make sure is you are able to log on before that happens. So log on, play around, maybe upload. We do little profile pictures. You can upload your profile picture. You can have some fun with it. But I want to make sure that's all set, that your credentials are working, your logon requirements are all set. Again, so if we do have a hiccup, we're not having that hiccup on the first day of class or on the first week, that we can iron out any little bumps in the road before you start the program. All right, well, that's the end of the checklist and our welcome video here for you. Again, we're so pleased that you've chosen Mercy College for your healthcare career education. If you have any questions as you go through the process, you have my card in your packets. Feel free to email me or contact me. You also have Mary's information in the packet. You can reach out to Mary, your academic advisor, as well. So you've got some resources right there at the handy for you as you work through that checklist. But the key point is to make sure you work through that checklist. After that, you'll be pretty much all set and ready to go to start the program. Okay, well, that concludes our welcome video. Again, thank you so much for choosing Mercy College, and all the best.